Let's talk for a moment about who we've got with us today. We've got three incredible individuals. I'll start off by reading their bios, and then I'll turn the mic over to Sarah to get us started. So Sarah Bentham is the director for the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Centre and has worked with HBEC in various roles for over 6 years. With a passion for working in the fast-paced world of entrepreneurship and innovation, Sarah has been instrumental in making HBEC the powerhouse that it is today. She has coordinated countless projects over her time at the college, including the annual Accelerator Summit that recently moved to an all-virtual experience this past October. The event was a smashing success that featured 50 speakers, 15 workshops, 16 VIP experiences, 3 live concerts, and so much more. I was expecting a partridge in a pear tree to show up there somewhere, but it didn't. But excellent job, and I know you're going to really enjoy hearing from Sarah. Our next speaker will be Jenna Green. Jenna is the Program and Partnership Coordinator with the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Centre. Jenna oversees the cultivation of partnerships across multiple industries, as well as planning and executing many events throughout the HBEC's successful coffee talks to keep entrepreneurs in the know during the pandemic. She is the co-owner of Georgian Chocolate Co., a business she runs with her husband, Sean. Georgian Chocolate Co. crafts sustainably sourced chocolates and partners with emerging artists to design their packaging. Jenna is also a graduate of Georgian's Art and Design Fundamentals program, class of 2010. Our third speaker today is Alex Brown. Alex Brown is a serial entrepreneur who has started, scaled, and sold a variety of e-commerce businesses. He is known as one of the leading branding, marketing, and operations experts in the global e-commerce industry. Alex is co-founder of the Dollar Beard Club, a subscription-based company that went from 0 to 10 million in its first year. He is a rock star mentor with the HBEC team, helping numerous young entrepreneurs get their footing. Alex is also a graduate of Georgian's Business Administration program, class of 2007. And I also want to add that Alex was one of our Premier's Award nominees this past year, and you can read more about that nomination on our website, georgiancollege.ca/alumni. And at this time, I will now invite Sarah to take the reins and get us started. And I'll just remind everybody on the call today that as Alex, Sarah, and Jenna are speaking, feel free to post your questions in the chat menu. And we'll have an opportunity to answer questions throughout the session. And of course, there will be an opportunity at the end as well. Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that generous introduction. It's so great to be here. And I am excited about the presenters that will come after me. We're very casual people, and you know, we are here for you. So if you have questions throughout, just pop them up in the chat, as Jamie had mentioned, and we're ready to answer and give more feedback on how we can help you. And so if you're okay, Jamie, I'm going to share my screen. And I have a bit of a presentation, and just for folks that don't know me already, I like to tell a lot of stories. So this presentation will come with lots of stories to celebrate folks like you, alumni from Georgian College. Jamie, thumbs up if you can see it. Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, so as Jamie mentioned, I'm the director of the Entrepreneurship Centre, and a little background on me, I actually came to the center about 6 years ago, and I was the first hire, and just, you know, it's been really exciting to have a startup within Georgian College and grow out the Entrepreneurship Center to support people like you that are on the call, or maybe someone you know. So I'm going to walk through all of our services. It's a bit of a commercial, but I think it's a good one, and I think it will just speak to sort of the power of what we can accomplish when we have a great idea. And so I would love to start out by saying that the Entrepreneurship Center is here to support students, staff, faculty, and especially alumni in however they want to take a business. So especially during these times, I think folks are coming up with lots of solutions and ideas about how the world should look. And that's kind of where we come in. And so we meet with people all of the time that are able to share their idea with us, and we'll be able to connect them to the resources that I'll describe in this presentation in order to take their business forward. So I wanted to point out here that our supports for entrepreneurs, it's really that journey from student to CEO. And maybe there's some folks on the call here that have had that exact journey, and I would love to hear from you, and I'll put in a call to action or an ask out to you later But really what it starts with is we support from that idea stage all the way to the start stage, or maybe there's folks here that have a business and they really want to look at growing it, or maybe we're in a bit of a situation where you want to pivot that business idea to like meet the demands of our current climate. And then we also support on the scale side. And so if you have a business that you're looking to take, you know, say from 30 employees up, we have every single thing that you might need to help you. So I'm going to start with a bit of a story. This will kind of guide you through how our Entrepreneurship Center works. Over the time that I've been here over the last 6 years, we've supported over 1,500 businesses in a variety of capacities. So if that looks like, you know, helping you to like walk through what your business model looks like, how you're going to make revenue, or matching you up with that resource, what we love to say is we're taking your business, you know, further, faster. That's our tagline, take your business further, faster. Everyone has to have a tagline. And in order to do that, what we really want to do is to shorten the time period that it takes to start a business. So by shortening that time period, we are connecting you with that exact person that you might need to know. Maybe it's a business partner, maybe it's a mentor that I'll talk to you about, maybe it's investment, or maybe it's funding. And so over the last 6 years, with the 1,500 businesses that we've supported, we actually have a roster of 16 mentors. I'll just switch through here. Over that time period, we've also raised over $3 million of investment for our clients, and those clients really, it's across a variety of industries. And so we see some trends in our work, which can be really exciting, especially around food innovation, technology. We get a lot in the computer space. We get a lot in the automotive space. And so maybe what I can do here as well is, do folks have the option to do reactions, Jamie, through this, or is it, or hands up, anything like that? We can raise your hand. I think you can. So if people feel comfortable and you look at the bottom of your screen, there is a raise hand button. And so I might throw out some questions along the way to see if various things apply to you. So is there anyone on the call, and maybe Jamie, you can see this, anyone on this Zoom that has a business already? I'm curious to see if anyone can report back. This is a bit of a test. Do we see? Maybe Jenna out. Okay, sweet. I'm just scrolling through. That's good to know. I guess that they'll pop it up in the chat here. Oh, there, I can see it. Thank you. So yeah, so that's great to see that. In addition, I guess what I can also say is, yeah, you're able to, oh, Rob Therial, thank you, Jenna. Oh, and we know who you are, that's awesome. Also, you know, just wanted to mention around the investment raise for our clients, we actually work alongside a local angel investment group, and we're able to sort of streamline those clients that have a business idea that they are looking for investment in over to the angel group. And Jenna will chat a little bit more about that in a minute. One of the most interesting rounds of investment that was raised was for a client of ours who started a pasta company. And we were actually able to speak with Arlene Dickinson, and she invested about $1 million into that business. So the reach of our network is fairly wide. And so we work hard to make sure that you're connected in the way that you need to. We've created over 750 jobs. And I love shouting out the fact that a lot of those jobs are also Georgian alumni or Georgian students. So we're trying to connect students into the business community right away and make sure that students want to stick around this area. And our goal, and I like to put goals out, our goal is to reach about 30,000 entrepreneurs. And this would be over the next few years. And so we have been ticking away at that, and COVID has provided us some really interesting opportunities around the way that we can reach entrepreneurs. And I'll mention a few of the ways that you can get connected with us if what I'm describing is of interest. So we love to say that we activate, educate, and inspire. And so the way that we do this activation is around hackathons. So we put on a hackathon a year, mostly for our student base, but what we do is bring in folks likely that are on this call, previous Georgian students and alumni, also our mentors, also community leaders and thought leaders. And we'll put together a hackathon where students can solve a problem and create solutions and pitch those ideas for prizes. So if you're interested in participating in any hackathons, please reach out to us. As Jamie mentioned, we also put together the Accelerate Summit, and we host things like coffee talks. So again, reaching out to our network, bringing thought leaders in to host events where they share their expertise on business. We love to have networking events where we connect you with others, and that looks very virtual these days. So we will be having an event in the coming months that will actually coach on how to maximize the potential for virtual networking, because it's something that we're all kind of learning on the fly. In addition to that, we do a lot of ecosystem work. So where our Georgian College community campuses are, we work really locally within those communities to make sure that we're helping to support the growth of the economy and connecting people locally to others. And we have peer groups. And I find that these peer groups, if you're not a part of one within your line of work, I would strongly suggest it. I'm a part of one myself. And peer groups really just match you up with other folks that are sort of in the same line of work or at the same space. And you can help to support each other through whatever journey you're looking at. On the educate side, we have some really amazing things coming up this winter around a food accelerator program. So what we've seen is that two things. One, folks are hanging out in their kitchens more, we're locked down, and we are coming up with really neat ideas around food that we think the rest of the public should take part in. So we've got folks coming to us with different food innovations like, gluten-free products, nut-free products. You'll see on the corner of my screen, these are two Georgian alumni, Rebecca and Brienne, and they created a company called Honey Be the Change. And so it's infused honey that just tastes like amazing on chicken. And I'll send you the link so that if everyone wants to do a little shop local stuff, we'll make sure you're well connected. So the food thing is really interesting. The other side of this whole food accelerator that we'll be running is called the restaurant pivot. And so we've got restaurants that are seeing, declining folks hanging out inside of them. They're ramping up on their curbside delivery, but are they the folks that are making, the best pizza shells in town that you can buy? And we do have restaurants like that, especially located in Barrie, but they are all over to share, how can we turn one of the things that they produce in their kitchens into a commercially packaged good? So we'll be providing an additional program just to focus on that. We offer Further Faster. And so this program happens 3 times a year, open to the community again and students. And it's really to take your idea from that early stage straight through to your startup model. So building out, who's your target customer and what does your marketing look like? What does your elevator pitch look like? And so that's a really, really popular program. And we also offer e-co-op. And so I kind of think that as alumni, you're curious about what's happening in that school that I hung out in a lot. What's different about what we've started is this thing called e-co-op. So you can actually start a business during your co-op and you work alongside our team and you get a credit for that. So for folks that are just not interested in working for a traditional business and they want to start their own, you now can get a co-op and hang out with our team and learn from the experts that we brought in. So that's a really neat one. And then this just sort of guides my whole vision and our whole vision, and Jenna will talk about this too, is the concept of like the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Centre out of Georgian College, but without borders. So our alumni is all over the world. And we're so fortunate to be able to be connected with the folks here on this Zoom, but we're looking at connecting even broader. And so now with we have really high quality programs that are getting some attention. We've noticed that folks are joining us from like New York City, Montreal, British Columbia. We've got folks up in Wawa, which is really exciting. And we're seeing that it doesn't matter where anyone is geographically, they can still kind of access that cutting edge teaching and mentorship approaches that we have. And so I'll just switch my slide. Oh, I lost my mouse. We also, on the Inspire side, we do a number of things in the community. And so mentorship is a really, really big one for us. And I'm going to talk about the kinds of mentors that we have on our team and talk about what mentorship looks like. But I'll save that for the next one. I think I've got some folks on the call here that might be interested in this one. We launched an initiative called Accelerate Her, and that is strictly for those identifying as a woman to participate in entrepreneurial activities and address sort of the gaps that exist for women entrepreneurs. And so we did a big study within our region, and we learned, there's certain things that women entrepreneurs require that those supports just haven't existed. So Accelerate Her really speaks to making sure that there's great visibility of women business leaders and women in business, and you have access to mentors that are women, and then also funding. So we're looking specifically for funding for women and making sure that they can start businesses that are sustainable and successful. And then we'll be launching something called a demo day. So if you're ever curious after our call about, what else is going on in that space, Demo days will show you some more of our clients, and they will do their pitches to you, and they're going to show you what they've come up with in terms of their business. And so those folks will be from all over as well. Oh, my slides are off. So on the mentorship side, and I just want to point out, everything that I've been describing right now is virtual, which is amazing because you can be hanging out at home and you can be also, you know, accessing mentorship and growing a business as we move through this next phase of COVID. And so our mentors have great backgrounds and very diverse. And so you're going to get to meet one of those mentors on this call today. But we can support businesses with one-on-one advice and suggestions from e-commerce specialists, SEO, sales, marketing, food innovation, which I mentioned, manufacturing, also mechatronics, if that's of interest, app development, media PR, and I'm just reading them, but I think it kind of gives you an idea of the folks that we've got at the table. And another one that we're heavily focused and committed to is ensuring that the companies and the businesses that are being built have diversity and inclusivity at the heart of their thoughts when they're launching these. And then what we've also seen is, you know, really amazing programs around e-commerce and helping folks get into Shopify and on Amazon and getting their products to the folks if they're in a retail space. So those are just some of the options, but I strongly feel that this group of mentors they're all rock stars, and what I'm describing to you comes at no cost. So I should have said that at the beginning. You're like, okay, this sounds great, like, but how much does it cost? This, especially for alumni, the services that the Entrepreneurship Center provide to you are completely free. Some of our programs come with a bit of a program cost, just to ensure we have complete buy-in, but we try to make that barrier to access completely go away. We want to make sure that we can provide services and supports. And so I'll share a couple stories, as I did promise you some stories. And I thought, you know, I'll show you some students, you know, some student and alumni related successes that we've had. And I think, you know, I can remember being myself in a post-secondary institution and thinking, you know, that I had my hands full with all the things going on with studying. But this student right here, Guy Olivier, has started a technology app called Driven, and he's coming out of the automotive marketing program. And the really interesting about him is he came to us with this idea and he started to build out an app that will connect buyers and dealers with the perfect automobile that they've been looking for within about a 6-minute time frame. So I don't know if you folks have purchased a car before. It can take a long time and research is strenuous. This will take all of those challenges away. So he's come up with like that perfect solution for buying a vehicle. And obviously like a very young person, but what we've been able to do with this student is to quickly transition him to some tech-related programs that we're partnered on. And now he's currently in a program called the Founders Institute, building out his technology, gearing up for investment, and connected you know, immediately with mentors out of Silicon Valley. So our mentorship can extend over into our partners' offerings. And so getting you to like that right thing at the right time. And we call that just-in-time support. So yeah, so Guy Olivier is just knocking it out of the park, and I can't tell you how excited I am. And I feel like very fortunate within my role. I got to hear their pitches, and this one just, you know, gave me goosebumps. So that's a cool one. And I'd love to share a recent alumni story, and especially an international student story. I myself lived all over the world, and, you know, I'm so grateful for the international students that choose Georgian to pursue their education. And so Patricia, who's also now a really good friend, started a company called Louisella. So she was in the kitchens at Georgian, you know, coming up with recipes and, you know, doing her coursework. And during that time, she actually brought children with her from Italy, and she sent her kids to school, you know, with Nutella sandwiches. And I don't know if folks eat Nutella. I have eaten it on occasion before a lot, until I found this lady. And so she sent the kids to school with Nutella sandwiches. In Canada, you cannot have nuts in school. And so immediately sought out to solve this challenge and created this beautiful nut-free spread called Louisella, which was named after her mother. And Louisella, from like that time she brought it up from her kitchen, the Georgian kitchens, into our offices, we all tasted it. You know, try not to like wrestle the rest of it out of her hands. And from that point to now, we've been able to get her about $250,000 in investment. Her product is in Sobeys across Canada. She's expanding into the US and also into the UK. And one of the greatest things is one of our mentors was able to connect her with a buyer for Costco. And so she's developed out these really neat snack-sized, school snack-sized products, kind of like, you dunk Dunkaroos, you dunk your cookie in the chocolate and kids are loving it. And so that'll be a big one that you'll be able to find in Costco and send your kids to school with, or eat yourself like I do. So that's Patricia, an international student. And then the last story just gets me so excited. So we have an alumni. His name is Sven Hansen. He's also a marketing faculty now. And so some of you, I think Rob is on the line, if you're alumni and you've also transitioned to become faculty now. And Sven also joined us as a mentor, started a company called Always Bearded. So his problem that he solved was all around the beard itch. And thankfully right now I don't have that problem, but I can only imagine what it feels like to go through that. And so his all naturally sourced products help with the beard itch. And he made this incredible pivot that just happened in the last 3 months. What he also noticed about beards is that they're not mask conducive. So you get this dreaded beard line if you wear a mask over top of your beard, and everybody loves like a well-groomed beard. And so he actually created something called the beard tarp. Again, I will pop it up in the chat. So if you want to have a little shop, it's an awesome product. And the beautiful thing that happened with Sven is that business went viral. So he hit about 69 media outlets in 3 days. And his sales, he was probably putting out, I'm not going to give any secrets away, but he probably I don't even know, 10x his sales. So it's great. He's actually expanded, moved into a new space, manufacturing beard tarps full time. So really cool Christmas product or holiday gift if you're thinking about that. And now I'm so excited. I guess I should pause if there's questions that have come up in the chat. And thanks, Jenna, for doing this, for popping some of those stories up in the chat. I can open up to questions, and I like to do this thing where it's not crickets. So if there's not questions in like a 10-second countdown, then we will move right away. And I'm so proud to introduce you to the programs and partnerships coordinator. I was going to say my friend, and that's totally true. So very excited to introduce you to Jenna Green, who's also Georgian College alumni, to share her story about how she kind of came to be at the Bernick Centre and the other interesting things that she's doing. And thank you so much, David. And yeah, I'll turn it over to Jenna.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, as Sarah was talking, I put some links into the chat. I think, Sarah, if you can just pop in Sven's Always Bearded, that would be great. But yeah, so thank you, Jamie, and your team for putting this together today. We're excited to be here. Yeah, so my name is Jenna. I am the Programs and Partnerships Coordinator at the Henry Bernick Centre. I've been with the Henry Bernick Centre for just about 3 years now, so every day is different and it's definitely a lot of fun. But I'll backtrack and talk about my journey from the start with Georgian College, and what I took there and where I went, and what's brought me to what I'm doing today, which is quite a bit. So I'll cover all that. But yeah, I went to Georgian College for art, actually. So I had it in my head that I wanted to be a graphic designer. Art was definitely my strong suit. So, the fundamentals of art and design program really spoke to me because you covered everything. So, I loved the graphic design portion of it, but I didn't love all the computer work that came with it. I was more, I like the pencil drawing, black and white was where my passion lied. So, I went through that program. I loved it, but I realized that that's not what I wanted to pursue as a career. And that was a 1-year diploma program at Georgian College. So from there, I knew that my passion was in events. I like to be behind the scenes of things and, make these big things happen, and no one really needs to know that I was a part of it. So from there, from Georgian, I went to George Brown in Toronto and took special event planning. So that was another diploma program, 2 years, because Georgian College actually at the time, I think they were just piloting the event management. So yeah, I went down to the city. I spent some time down there. I worked a bit in Vancouver with a non-for-profit. And then from there, I was hired in weddings. So that taught me a lot about event planning. I'm glad I started my experience there because I can definitely deal with a lot of stress. And I've seen just about everything for customer service. So that's where my event planning career started. It started with a bit of design as well, which was a lot of fun because I got to bring that creativity that I loved with art into the weddings and the design aspect. And the company that I work for, she's no longer in weddings, but it was Event Decorator. She did, you know, extravagant things and we were featured in magazines. So that was a really cool experience for me. And from there I went to Muskoka. So I worked for Oliver and Bonacini. That was, the company of course is based in Toronto, but I worked up at the Muskoka property and then I worked for Taboo Muskoka. So still doing the weddings. I did a bit of corporate and that's where I really found what I love to do is the corporate events. And then Oliver and Bonacini, I then went on mat leave with my firstborn, and then that's when the opportunity at Georgian College came up. So it was kind of neat that I got to come back. At that point I decided, you know, I love being a part of weddings, but wedding planning maybe isn't the thing that I love, but corporate is. So that's when the Henry Bernick Centre opportunity came up. I was super excited because at the time my position was events and promotions coordinator. So I did all the workshops that Sarah's talking about, the programs I'll help roll out and execute. So that's really what I love to do. And it was nice to come back to the college. So working through the Henry Bernick Centre, we work with someone named Don Bourne. So he's the client service advisor. And, you know, water cooler talk was happening basically. And he said, hey, you know, we have this client that's looking to sell her business and it's a chocolate company and you would love it. They have art on the front and it's beautiful. And I thought, okay, that's, you know, I like chocolate. I was pregnant again. So with my second, and you know, I was definitely had the sweet tooth, and in the office I was well known for eating my double chocolate whatever donut from Tim Hortons every couple seconds. So yeah, I went home and I told Sean, my partner, about it, and you know, he was just like, well, it's perfect, you know, let's look into it. And I think I was like 7 or 8 months pregnant, and I thought, well, you know, let's just deal with the pregnancy. And anyways, but the long and short of it all is that we did end up purchasing Georgian Chocolate. So we've had that company for 3 years now. And for those who aren't familiar, Georgian Chocolate is, we're a small company that's located in Severn, and we handcraft chocolate that is sustainably sourced. It's from different regions around the world, so single origin. And then it's finished in packaging that that is designed by local artists that we have partnered with. And Sarah, thank you for putting that into the chat if you want to check us out online. But yeah, I learned a lot about buying a business. That's definitely it was a huge learning experience. I was really fortunate in that I had, you know, Don was able to talk to Sean and I a bit about, you know, what he would look at and what he would do. And but yeah, if anyone ever wants to connect or has any questions about purchasing a business, we learned a lot through that process. You know, it was a working business. She had clients, and she had a small kitchen that was located in Barrie, and we kept her wholesale clients, and then of course we grew and got our own clients. And we have since moved the business north of Barrie to Severn, because yeah, we do live in Aurelia. Thanks, Jean, for that. But yeah, so it's been a ride. It's been 3 years that we've had Georgian Chocolate. We did have a small kitchen that didn't have a retail front. We figured that was, you know, a 5-year plan. But in the building that we're in, our landlord approached us, and I'll just do a little timeline. This is, you know, December of last year. COVID was being spoken about, but it was, you know, not over in North America yet. Anyways, we'll get to that. So, you know, our landlord approached us and said, hey, listen, we have a highway facing unit available. Did you guys, I want to give you the first right of refusal. And so, you know, we just kind of jumped both feet in. We said, let's do it. We always wanted to start the retail, and there's lots of opportunity for us to grow there. It's quite a large space. And the retail space that's faced the highway, it's the cottage country traffic, and it's a beautiful space as well. So yeah, so now we're working on opening our retail location. We moved into the new location, and within, I would say, a month or so, COVID has happened. So opening a retail store through a pandemic has definitely been interesting. There's been, as everyone else has experienced, obviously, there's been delays in getting material. We did quite an extensive renovation in the back to build out the kitchen so that we could grow, and we would have separate spaces, and then of course the front. So, it's been a long journey, and our clients have been very patient with us, and we've been fortunate in that, we worked on the kitchen right away. So there was little to no gap in our production because we do wholesale from business to business, and we do custom orders. So, yeah, so it's been good. And we've been fortunate enough, with some of the grants that have, or the, financial support that has come out through the government and regionally, that we've been able to tap into that. And because I'm up in Aurelia, we do work with the CDC as well. So they've been another great business resource center for those that are located in northern regions. So, and then on the Henry Bernick side, we work with them as well. So it's been really good. It's great to see, from the Henry Bernick side, the business resource side, and then from an entrepreneur as well. But yeah, and another thing, I'll just touch on it quickly, Sarah did as well, is the Georgian Angel Network. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, that was a network established to connect angel investors that are located in Barrie, South Georgian Bay, Orangeville, and Muskoka, and they connect angel investors to entrepreneurs needing capital to commercialize their innovation. So that's been an incredible experience. The best way to describe it is like, Dragon's Den, but it's a very supportive group of individual angel investors. We meet once a month, and there's 2 opportunities that are presented. So that's kind of Dragon style, in that the company pitches, the angel investors then ask questions, but they're supportive, not, on TV, it's for the production part. But yeah, that's been great. And over there, I'm the vice president of administrative and operations. So we do events as well over there. And then I support where I can with the membership. But yeah, so that's kind of been my journey from, starting with Georgian College with the event planning. I'll carry through event planning probably forever. I love it for sure. And then, yeah, the chocolate has been something that, Sean and I, we always wanted to start a business. We definitely bounced ideas off of each other all the time, but there was never that one idea that we both loved. And Georgian Chocolate was that first thing that, Sean brought Sean's culinary and hospitality experience, and I'm able to do my creative piece. So it was just the perfect match for us. And I'm really fortunate that, the Henry Bernick Centre, that Dawn brought that forward to me, or else I don't know what I would do with all my time. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, I saw some things go up in the chat. I wasn't able to see it, but yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much to David. And thanks, Jenna, for sharing your story. It's been really cool to watch your whole process. I think our team has learned a lot out of what you've been experiencing. So yeah, so a couple of things that I wanted to mention that kind of came up after was just, our profound gratefulness for Henry Bernick and his family for the beautiful endowment that he left that enabled us to start the center. And, his focus was, make sure that we're providing mentorship to whoever needs it. And so unfortunately he has since passed, but his family has carried on that legacy. And so we're so grateful to be involved with them and get a chance to carry on the great work and their vision, something we think about every day. And then, yeah, so I would love to also introduce Alex Brown. And so Jamie gave you a great introduction to Alex, and so I won't go into that. And plus, I think Alex tells his stories in such an engaging way, so I don't want to take away from it. But from our standpoint, so fortunate to be reconnected with alumni Alex Brown, and we hope to do the same with folks on this call if it speaks to you. So, Alex, I will turn it over to you.
Right on. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me, Jamie. It's good to see you again. I miss you, buddy. Sarah and Jenna, of course, we talk all the time, so we're all besties. Yeah. So again, thanks for having me here. It's kind of surreal to be on alumni events talking about like my journey and stuff. I'm in my mom's living room right now, COVID style. Um, yeah, I'm a pretty ordinary guy. I put my pants on one leg at a time. Or, during the current pandemic situation, sometimes not at all. I see a lot of laughter there. Yeah. So no judgment if you're not wearing pants. I'll leave it up to your imagination if I am or not. But with that intro, yeah. So I'm from Barrie. I went to St. Joe's High School. I grew up in Barrie and then ended up going to Georgian and then Laurentian through Georgian to kind of finish my diploma into a degree. And, I saw a lot of my friends go away to school and they're like, hey, we want to party, screw Georgian. I want to go somewhere else and, somewhere different. And then, year 2, 3, 4, a lot of them ended up coming back and they're like, hey, maybe living in mom's basement isn't such a bad idea while I get my education and I get smaller class sizes and I get to, make a lot of friends and it's a great education. But, unfortunately when I was in school, I was really focused on kind of the end of the journey. It was like, hey, let's just get a diploma. Let's get a degree. Let's go through this. And so when I graduated, which was in 2009 at the end of university, like the little bridge program that I did there, was like the height of the last recession, which is very familiar for the climate right now, of course. And so job prospects weren't that great for somebody who had, the academic background, but not a lot of skills, right? So I kind of quickly realized that, yeah, the theory is great, but you also need to kind of partner that with application. And what's kind of funny is, my father was an entrepreneur. I was brought up very entrepreneurially. I was doing contracting at a young age. So I actually spent most of my early life working outside with my hands. In a very entrepreneurial factor was, subcontracting for my dad, but I didn't want that life. Actually, I wanted to get a corporate job. And, I thought the world owed me this amazing job. Many of you have probably already realized that that doesn't really exist unless you are in a very specific field, or like I said, you're combining some real life experience with your education. And I think that, Georgia and a lot of colleges have come a long way in providing that as well, beyond just the co-op, but it's, pulling real life skills and experience in. So got a bit of a slap in the face upon graduation, but fortunately, I knew how to make money. I was doing okay. Actually, as someone in their early 20s was making good money, but I just wasn't happy. So I did what anyone in their early 20s should do, and saved a bit of money and went to Europe for 6 months and just kind of bummed around and bartended and saw the world and fell in love with travel. But, had to get back to life eventually. And so came back home and clawed myself out of debt for a year with some more work with my hands. But I knew that I wanted to get back to this whole idea of going into business, right? That's what I took in school. I wanted to use my brain, not my hands. And I was working really, really hard and, was kind of hitting the ceiling of where I could grow and develop. So I actually got an opportunity, started looking around, and in Barrie at the creative space downtown, there was a startup in the pharmaceutical industry. Actually, they did consulting for business development. So pharmaceutical company in Scotland could license a product to a Canadian company, right? And we would kind of broker these deals. I still don't understand it, but got to learn a lot more about pharmaceuticals than I ever thought I would know. But it was really good for me because I got to talk to like CEOs and presidents of really huge companies, and they didn't know that I was just this 25-year-old dude in Barrie working at a creative space, what do you call it? Co-working space. So, but it was fun. I learned a lot, but again, it wasn't really the right place for me. And I knew that eventually. So around that time, I just started looking for different things. It was kind of bartending on the weekends. We might have met if you were out in Barrie around that time, 2012, I guess, 2013. But, knew there was more for me. And around that time, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go visit a friend. He just moved to California. So I went to visit him, and him and his business partner at the time had just done a crowdfunding campaign. I don't even know what crowdfunding was, but for those of you who don't, it's when you have an idea for a product and you create a campaign and say, hey, this is the product or service that we want to create, that we want to make and launch to the world, but we don't have the money to do it. So you kind of solicit pre-sales of someone who would buy your product that doesn't exist yet at a lower price and then ship it out to them when you do make it. So I thought this was pretty cool. And the whole week I was there, I was just like learning everything about what they were doing. And I was fascinated by it and, selling products online. I was all in, right? And at the end of the week, my friend and his business partner became my business partners. They're like, hey, would you like to move to California and do all this stuff with us? We'll get you a visa. And that sounded pretty good to me. So, I kind of uprooted myself, which at the time, like it was a huge decision. And when I think back, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. But it was also like really fun and exciting. I was like, what have I got to lose? Right. And I think that's something that is kind of like persistent through all successful people. Not that I really consider myself successful, but people that like make big leaps in their careers take risks, right? And not that you want to kind of leverage everything and go for everything, every opportunity that comes your way. But if something is really lighting you on fire, even if it doesn't work out, you never know where it might take you. As long as you don't end up on the street and you're willing to tolerate the worst possible outcome and it's lighting you on fire, I say go for it. So this is lighting me up. I did that. The first 2 products that we crowdfunded and brought to market, we were able to complete the cycle and bring them to market, but they never really went anywhere. We learned a lot through that process, made a lot of connections. And then we crowdfunded a product called Coolbox, which was like a smart tech toolbox with lights and a power bar and stuff like that. So it's a carrying case, but it had all these features to it. Just basically a tech gadget, for lack of better terms. The campaign did really well. We did about $500,000 in sales, which was, enough to start the company. But again, we didn't have the business acumen at that time for commercializing a product that was that resource heavy, right? It was very capital intensive. So it kind of dragged on for a while, but as it was dragging on, my business partner was on Shark Tank. We applied, we got in, he was very charismatic, he had this giant beard. And so, that kind of put us on the map in a lot of different entrepreneurial circles. And we eventually were able to raise cash. We had a couple investors that helped us get the product out to all the people who had paid for it, all of our backers. And then they made an attempt to get it into retail for about 2 years, and they actually never ended up doing it, but kind of licensed the product out to them and cut all of our losses. And we're like, hey, we're done with this business. We can't make it work. But it was a tremendous experience. We put a lot in. And, at this time, we really weren't making any money. There was about 6 of us that lived on this ranch in California. We were living on the beach. We moved to this like secluded ranch, and we're just working on business ideas and trying to make it work. We were Airbnb-ing our rooms at a certain point so we could make rent. Like, it was pretty bad. Now that I look at it, it's like part of one of those like cool startup stories, but it's fun to look back at. But during it was kind of like, yeah, I went down here with a bunch of money and now I'm like broke and I'm 30 years old and I'm sleeping in the backyard. Like, what am I doing? But we just kept persisting, and, something that we really had fun with was this idea of doing Dollar Beard Club. We saw what Dollar Shave Club had done. At this time, we were like, we had big beards. We're like, let's grow out our beards until we sell one of our companies and get rich. And, that whole American dream scenario. And we were really against like synthetic products and fragrances and into kind of like holistic health and living in balance. So we just kind of were like, let's shoot a video for it. One of the guys that lived with us was a videographer, really talented guy. And then we showed it to some of our advisors from our other company, Coolbox. And they're like, guys, this is huge. Like, you need to order a lot of products for when you launch this, because we're going to get this placed in the media. And so we're like, yeah, whatever. We'll order some products. We kind of put all of our eggs in one basket. And fortunately, it took off. Like, it was received really well. People got it very quickly. The offer was awesome. Our video that we launched with just absolutely went viral. We were on BuzzFeed and Huffington Post and Yahoo and all the big media outlets. It was pretty crazy to actually like watch this unfold. And still, it was kind of crazy to think about it. But that again, that was the start of a business, right? And then from there, we kept growing and growing and growing. Like Jamie mentioned in the beginning, we did $10 million in sales in our first year. That does not mean that I made $10 million. I'll tell you that much. Still looking for the big payout on that business now, but it's that experience over the next couple of years just allowed us to run a high growth business, and we weren't really qualified. And you learn some lessons the hard way, but you also like have some success. You learn what doesn't work, you learn what does work. And so for the next 3 years, operated that business with my partner, and kind of found myself not really happy. And I was, it took a while to figure out. My dad actually passed away, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I'm not actually happy doing this. Like, my business partner and I were fighting a lot. And my identity was so tied to this company, because all of a sudden, it's kind of the Cinderella story. Guy from Barrie goes to Hollywood, hanging out with celebrities. No joke. I got to meet and hang out with Taylor Swift. She's one of my favorites. But like, here we were in these like circles, and I'm from Barrie and I'm just an ordinary guy. Right. So I was, addicted to this identity that I created for myself of the successful business guy, but it was at the cost of my happiness. Right. And so I had a conversation with my business partner. It's like, dude, I'm not happy. this isn't working out. And so we made a deal where I could mostly exit the business. I'm still a part owner of Beard Club, but kind of get some liquidity for the last 5 years without making any money. And was like, okay, now what do I do now? And realized that I'd kind of done a lot of different things that other entrepreneurs were struggling with, right? I got invited to speak in different stages and, traveled around the world for about a year and a half, always coming back to Barrie or back to the US, working with clients where I could. Really have never been a great consultant. I'm terrible at charging for things. I love giving advice, but I haven't really figured out that, oh yeah, like it's $10,000 a month sort of thing. But actually serendipitously, it worked out. We'd thrown this really big event in Hollywood when we had our house there. And one of the guys who came was an entrepreneur with a really cool conscious business called My Green Fills. So I've actually been working there for the last 14 months now, I guess, back and forth between here and Michigan. They sell sustainable, amazing, non-toxic cleaning products. And in the last year, we have more than doubled the company. And so I've been offered a partner position there, which has been a really cool experience. But I guess to back up, about the same time I started working with the business in Michigan, this is kind of a crazy story. A guy that I was randomly a roommate with when we were renting out our rooms through Airbnb, he ended up staying for 4 months because he was going to university there. He's from Brazil. And so he came to visit me a couple summers ago, and he's like, hey, one of my friends is actually in Barrie. I went to high school with him. And so he is connected with Georgian, Paulo, and I don't know why I can't think of her name right now. Oh my gosh, she's going to kill me if she's watching this.
Melissa.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry for watching this. So anyways, Melissa was like over here at, my mom's house, and I was back with Eddie from Brazil. And she's like, you should really talk to the HBEC, like the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Centre. I was like, what's that? And so I did some digging. I'm like, there's a world-class entrepreneurship center. I'm not even joking. It's like world-renowned entrepreneurship center in Barrie, Ontario at Georgian College, which is, I could pretty much hit it with a rock from here. And so, I went in, I talked with Sarah, and I was, this is incredible. So, I'm always like paying you guys, all of the gratitude in the world for like what you do for the community. I wish this kind of existed when I was going to Georgia, but fortunately it does now. And so, I've been able to help out a couple of Entrepreneurship Center clients for about the last year now, especially as, there's a lot of companies facing pivots that they have to make when they're very heavy in selling in stores and retail, and now have to kind of create their own story online. So if you are in that space, or if you have an online business, that's kind of where I can help you if you're interested. Like Sarah said, some of the services that you guys can get for free through the Entrepreneurship Center are pretty insane. Like I said, I charge $10,000 an hour. So to get that for free through the Entrepreneurship Center, that's pretty cool. But I'm just kidding. It's an amazing thing you guys have done with HBEC. I'm really proud of you, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. And that's my story to date. Who knows where it goes tomorrow or after this? Who knows if I'll put on pants? No one really knows, but I'm grateful to be a part of this, to be a Georgian alumni, and I'm excited for the future.
Thank you so much, Alex. And I hope your tomorrow still includes us. We love having you on our team and working with us. And then also just to do a little tiny bit of promo, Alex is actually doing an e-commerce accelerator program. It starts in the new year. We'll make sure we pop up all that information in the chat. And then I'm going to quickly share my screen. I know we're kind of running out of time. I wish that we could.
Sorry, I talked too much.
No, you did. You did perfectly. Here, I'll just share my screen here. You're going to see. I popped up in the chat one of Alex's clients that we're really excited about called 10Fed, but here we go. So I wanted to make sure that we left you with, the ways to get in touch with us and the ways to stay connected. And, it might come up for you. It might come up for someone else that that this, idea strikes you. And I think, something that we can really do that is very helpful is, one, your idea is safe with us. We're not out there talking about it completely secure. And two, if your idea needs some support and, tweaking it a little bit, or maybe, and this has come up like very rarely, but it has come up, maybe your idea isn't going to turn out to be the one that you want to put all your eggs in that basket, then we'll be like really honest and share that information back with you. So it could be some good advice on either side. So we love you to follow us on social media. I'd like to think that we have sort of a funny social media presence. It's entertaining and then also connects you with resources that you need. And then I wanted to ask, out there in the crowd, if you're interested in sharing your story for good, join our speaker series and share your story to inspire and encourage our current student base. And so we have strong ties to the entrepreneurship program and many other academic areas. And we love to be able to bring Georgian alumni back to share and shout out what they're doing. And how can you get involved? So if what we were talking about today, you're like, yes, I want to talk to you guys and just learn a little bit more than the time that we spent this afternoon. It's super easy. You fill in a short intake form. You attend an orientation. It's a little bit longer and talks a little bit more thoroughly about how we can help you. And we start to build out that business framework. And then, the sky's the limit as to where you want to take it. So thank you so much for your time today. And Jamie and team, thank you so much for inviting us and for this opportunity to share more. Folks like to say that HBEC is kind of the best kept secret. And this year we're aiming at unpacking that best kept secret and sharing it with everyone. So thanks again for your time today.
Thanks so much, Sarah and Alex and Jenna. And for the folks that weren't reading the chat necessarily, I just want to once again remind folks how incredible Jenna and Alex are. Of course, Alex, a recent Premier's Award nominee from Colleges Ontario, and Jenna Green, a current nominee for the Arroyo Businesswoman of the Year award coming up next month. So congratulations to them both, and thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experiences and expertise with us. A couple of notes. I'm watching the clock here carefully. Do we have any final questions from the call today before we proceed with closing remarks? Giving a quick moment just to ensure that someone's not typing. Okay, so on that note, I want to thank Alex and Jenna for joining us today. Sarah, thank you so much. For everybody on the call, know that we, of course, are taking this opportunity to support our students at the same time. So for anybody that's attended these sessions before, you'll know that we make a donation to support student scholarships in honor of our guest speakers. So thank you for joining us today. Your presentations have helped us to support students through scholarships today as well, which is fantastic. Just a couple of more reminders. Once again, you can join the Georgian Alumni Network, georgianalumni.ca. It's your space as an alumnus to connect with one another and with your alma mater. You can find out more information at georgiancollege.ca/alumni and all of the benefits and services available to you through the college and through our alumni association. And again, if you're interested in pursuing professional development studies at Georgian College, you can visit georgiancollege.ca to find out more information on opportunities to come back and study further. And of course, HBEC is always here with their incredible mentors to provide you that support and service in chasing your dreams and finding that next path forward. So on behalf of everybody here at Georgian and our alumni relations team, thanks so much for joining us and have a fantastic day. All the best for the season ahead, everyone.